Good evening and welcome to the Champions League final live with me, Caoimhan Ferris, this evening on LFS. Welcome in to this one. And the Allianz Arena is in the great city of Munich is the venue of tonight's season grand finale. And we are less than 30 minutes away from kickoff in this, the final game of the season. The showpiece event of the season. Tonight, no matter who wins, will be a cracking night for this glorious competition. PSG, the champions of France, stormed past English opposition in the knockouts to get to only their second European Cup final in the club's history tonight. For Inter, they lost out in the Serie A title by just a single point to Napoli on the final day. Come into this one tonight knowing European supremacy is on the line for them. A fourth title if they do it tonight. Inter would solidify themselves into the European football's Hall of Fame if they come out victorious. But as I say, whoever comes out as the victors tonight, we will see either a first ever title for PSG or a first title in 15 years for Inter since that 2010 final. So I expect a great spectacle this evening, and considering the show that both sides put on en route to the final, we are expecting a display of top-class quality under the Allianz Arena lights. Now, before the main event, we're going to look at both sides. We're going to talk about individuals, we're going to talk about tactics, and we're going to talk about, first, how they got to this point. You know, it's not as simple as you show up and you win and you keep progressing. It's the hard work, it's the grit, it's the twists and turns along the way to get to this stage in a season, the longest Champions League season we've had in many a year, of course, with the new inaugural league phase, the 8 games in the league phase, and then the knockouts plus the knockout playoffs. So some teams have gone as far as playing 16 games up to this point. PSG, this will be their 17th Champions League game this season. It will be Inter's 15th because they automatically progress to the last 16. But before we get into tonight's game, which as I said is an 8 o'clock kickoff this evening here in LFS at the Allianz Arena, PSG against Inter Milan, we're going to talk about how both sides got to the final, because it's been a long journey, and we're going to start with tonight's home side, if we can designate it home side, PSG. So here is the bracket from the round of 16 onwards. This is their route to the final tonight. And let's start with PSG and how they got to the final. Well, the Parisians' journey to the final all started back in the City of Love back in September. They needed a 90th minute own goal from Paolo Gazzaniga at PSG to secure a winning start to the inaugural league phase of the competition. But it wasn't all plain sailing for Luis Enrique's side in the league phase, losing 3 of their following 4 matches and only drawing the other. A win over Salzburg on match day 6 made it clear the task they needed to progress. 2 wins from their final 2 games of the league phase would be needed to find a way through. Matchday 7 saw the visit of Manchester City to the Parc des Princes. The visitors clamoured themselves into a 2-goal lead, but unleash Operation Comeback and PSG ruptured Manchester City. 4 goals without reply saw PSG cruise to 3 points, setting up a final game win to progress. A trip to Stuttgart in Germany was to decide whether they would be moving on or heading out. A cracking start led to the perfect result, leading 3-0 by half-time and ending up 4-1 winners on the road, meaning the knockout playoffs was secure. As you can see, they're 15th in the league phase table. Won 4, drawn 1 and lost 3 of their 8 games, picking up just 13 points out of a possible 24 for PSG. Simple work was made of fellow French side Stade Brest in the knockout playoffs, winning 10-0 on aggregate, as you can see there over the 2 legs. 3-0 win away, and then a 7-0 win at the Parc des Princes for PSG. Into the last 16, and it set up a monster clash with Liverpool. Despite their dominance, it was the Reds who left the Parc des Princes with the win in the first leg, but a 1-0 win at Anfield for the Parisians set up a penalty shootout. PSG put all 4 of their penalties into the net, whilst Liverpool struggled to come up with the goods, and the journey wasn't over for PSG. On to the quarter-finals, and another English side stood in the way of the Parisians. This time Aston Villa. A 3-1 win at home meant it was all but certain for a semi-final place, but a close call through, though at Villa Park, saw the home side win 3-2 on the night, but PSG, however, progressed on aggregate. On to the semi-finals. The final four was in sight, and PSG wanted the hat-trick. A third and final English side to beat, and they were heading to Munich. It was Mikel Arteta's Arsenal, who were on a European journey of their own. Heading to the Emirates and snatching a win through Ousmane Dembele meant anything other than a defeat would see PSG into the final. 8 days later, and the Parc des Princes was rocking. A Fabian Ruiz banger, followed by a finish by Achraf Hakimi, meant that PSG were Munich bound and heading to only their second ever European Cup final in the club's history. A cracking road to the final, and we'll talk about that throughout the game and what that meant for PSG's season. But as I said, I mentioned it in the run through there. Of the game against Manchester City at the Parc des Princes, and that was the turning point for PSG, coming back from 2-0 down to win 4-2 on the night and get that win from a losing position of such significance was what kind of catapulted them to believing that nothing could pin them down and they could move on and beat anybody, really. But moving on from PSG's road to the final to Inter Milan's road to the final, a little bit simpler. 2 games less for Inter, but and a lot more plain sailing for them in the league phase. For Internazionale, Simone Inzaghi's side wanted to dream of rectifying the result of the 2023 final loss in Istanbul, boasting the best defence in the league phase, conceding just 1 goal in 8 games. A 0-0 draw at Manchester City on match day 1 set the precedent for the campaign for the reigning Italian champions. 4 successive wins followed, including victories over Arsenal and RB Leipzig at San Siro. A matchday 6 defeat at Bayer Leverkusen, though the reigning German champions, was to be their only defeat of the league phase. Inzaghi's Azzurri ended the league phase strong with back-to-back wins in Prague and against Monaco. 4th place, 19 points and 6 wins meant it was straight to the last 16 for the Italians. Dutch side Feyenoord were first on the agenda, heading to the Netherlands and leaving with a 2-0 win and another dominant defensive display. A return leg 2-1 win saw the Azzurri off to Munich in the quarter-finals. The hosts of this year's final stood in Inter's way. Bayern Munich under Vincent Kompany, just like Germany in the Euros last summer, wanted to claim success on home turf. However, Inzaghi's side came and conquered, winning 2-1 in Munich through David Fratesi, and a 2-2 draw at San Siro meant they were off to the Final Four. Next up was Europe's most ruthless attack, Barcelona. Barca under Hansi Flick had a glorious treble season in their sights, but once again, Inter spoiled the party. A 3-3 draw in the Olympic Stadium in Catalonia meant it was a win and you're in for the Azzurri. But what was to unfold in the fashion capital of the world was to be a once-in-a-generation event. A back-and-forth tussle for the ages commenced, leading to another dramatic ending. An 87th minute goal from Rafinha to make it 3-2 to Barca felt like it was the winning moment. Step up Francesco Acerbi, though, who had other plans. The 37-year-old rifled the 93rd minute equaliser into the roof of the Barca net, meaning it was extra time to come. Inter wasted no time, scoring the ultimate winning goal when David Fratesi was the hero once again. This time, the goal to send Inter back to Munich and to the final for the second time in 3 years. And what a road to the final it was for Inter. As you can see there, some tough opposition in Bayern Munich and Barcelona en route to the final. And they didn't have an easy league phase, but they made easy work of it because of that staunchy defence and that solid back line of conceding just 1 goal in a total of 8 games, and that was that 1 goal they conceded against Bayer Leverkusen in their sole defeat in the competition this season. And they have had an incredible run to the final. Unbelievable. They've kept 8 clean sheets this season in the competition. However, they have not kept any clean sheets in the last 5 games in the competition. Both semi-finals, both quarter-finals, and the second leg of the last 16 tie with Feyenoord, after they had put down 8 in their 9, 8 clean sheets in 9 for the first 9 games of this campaign. So maybe that defence is not as solid as it once was, but we don't know. Tonight, when it means the most, could they step up and deliver? And we expect them to be very competitive tonight. We're less than 20 minutes away from kickoff here in the Allianz Arena in Munich tonight for this one. And we're going to talk about what Opta predict. Of course, Opta, the big stats company, they're predicting what they think, who they think is going to win tonight. Because in my opinion, it's probably an incredibly close game between these two sides and an incredibly close matchup. We're going to talk about both teams in their last finals in this competition. We're going to talk about Inter's most recent winning final, of course, back in 2010. And then we're going to get your predictions from social media. Do put them in the chat as well. Let us know what you think, who you think is going to win tonight. What's your score predictions? Because we've got a few of them in from socials that we put up earlier today. So we'll have those a little later on before kickoff. We'll also talk about both sides' strong points. What are their best options, and where will they find the difference tonight to try and win this game? We'll be back looking at the Opta prediction and much more as we get ready for the 2025 Champions League final in Munich. Kickoff is less than 20 minutes away. We'll be back in just a moment. Welcome back to the 2025 Champions League final live here in LFS tonight. Kickoff is 8 o'clock UK time, 9 p.m. local time in Munich, and we are around about 16 minutes away from that, so we're getting ever closer to the kickoff of this season's showpiece event final. Right, let's talk about kind of the Opta match prediction, because Opta, they might not always get it right, but this is what they think will happen tonight. They think the PSG are the favourites to win this evening, a 44.6% chance of winning this final tonight. Inter have a 29% chance of winning the game and a 26.4% chance of a draw occurring inside the 90 minutes. So there is as much chance of Inter winning it in 90 minutes as there is this game being level after 90 minutes, according to Opta. But PSG with the rousing advantage, according to the statisticians, on whether or not they will be crowned champions of Europe for the very first time. And what a night, a special night it could be. Paris will be pumping, I'm sure, if that is the case. But I'm sure Milan will be the same, because Inter know what it is and know what it feels like to win Champions Leagues, but not for 15 years, a decade and a half since they were last crowned the champions of Europe. But both sides have been in the final in the last 5 years. And we're going to recap on those now. Looking at PSG, and their only previous final in this competition came back in 2020. Of course, that was played in August of 2020, obviously due to the COVID lockdown and COVID-19 coming to fruition. It was played inside an empty stadium in Lisbon, in the Portuguese capital, in 2020, and Bayern Munich came out 1-0 winners on that night to claim their 6th European title in the club's history. But as you can look at the stats, it was a very even affair in terms of the attempts on target. PSG actually had more shots on target than Bayern on that night, but Bayern had more shots overall. In terms of the possession, it was dominance in possession for Bayern and a much better passing accuracy as well, 84% pass accuracy. And look at the distance covered as well. Over 100, almost 104 kilometers covered for Bayern Munich, just short of 100 kilometers for PSG. Now, of course, we're going back to this point, and we look back on PSG and that pedigree and that final, and it was missed chances that let them down on that. And I remember watching that final, and I remember going, PSG have missed some absolute sitters here. They are going to lose this by 1-0 because they just can't take their chances. And in the end, call me Mystic Meg, but it came to fruition. And in the end, I think Bayern probably deserved it. I think they were, in 2019-20, probably were the best team in Europe. And I think overall on that night, they displayed the better of the two teams. They were the better of the two sides overall. They were able to get the job done. But when you look at it and you think, they could have really had something there, PSG. It was their chance in their first ever final to claim success, to claim glory, and they couldn't get it over the line. And of course, Kingsley Coman's winning goal was enough to see Bayern Munich crowned champions of Europe that year. And they had a great run to the final that year, did Bayern. And they were, of course, the away side. PSG known as the designated home side tonight as well. So they'll be hoping that won't be a bad omen for them this evening. For Inter, well, they've had a more recent final appearance than PSG, and that was in 2023, but they also ended on the end of the same scoreline that PSG did in their respective final back in 23, on the 10th of June 2023 in Istanbul. A city well known for its history in Champions League finals, home to one of the iconic Champions League finals in history back in 2005. Less iconic in 2023, but look at the stats. Again, Inter, double the amount of attempts that Manchester City, the European champions at that time, had. More shots on target, albeit less possession and a less pass accuracy, but covered more in kilometres over the game. Did Inter. So they run hard, they worked hard, they had many's a shot on target, many's an attempt to test Manchester City, but they couldn't get over the line. And in the end, it was City that emerged victorious and were crowned champions of Europe back in 2023 for the very first time in their history. So Inter have that bad omen on their front. They again play in a Champions League final against the side looking for their first ever Champions League win. So we will see what comes of this one tonight. But that's previous finals. Tonight, we're watching two sides who've been quality in Europe this season, but want to get over the line, just like Inter did back in 2010, in that Champions League final back in 2010. Of course, May the 22nd, 2010, and they beat Bayern Munich by 2-0 did Inter in that final in the Santiago Bernabeu in Madrid, another quality European stadium and an unbelievable a venue for European football, and it was to be that man Diego Milito to get the 2 goals for Inter to claim a massive victory and their third Champions League title in the club's history. But it's been 15 years since that happened. It's a long time now since that was the case, and they want to be back in the pinnacle of European football to Inter. And I said it in the opener, they win tonight, they get number 4, they put themselves already, they are in the Hall of Fame, they're already one of the top sides in Europe historically, but recently they've maybe lacked a little bit, certainly in the last 10 years to 15 years, and now is their chance to get themselves back there. 2 finals in 3 years, looking to add a 4th title to their kind of roster. If they can do it tonight, they can certainly add their names to that Hall of Fame. And PSG could be a new name on the trophy. I think the 24th winner of this competition, if they win tonight, PSG, they'll be the 24th team to be crowned champions of Europe, or 24th different team to be crowned the champions of Europe. So history beckons tonight in this Champions League final, and we're edging ever closer. We're just 10 minutes away, but I think we're set up for a cracking night of action. And we've got so much talking points for both teams. We're going to get your predictions actually first. So do let us know in the chat what your predictions are, who you think's going to win. But I'll read some out from socials on Twitter, on YouTube, and on TikTok. So some of our comments from earlier. Ryan says PSG 2-1. He's giving me goal scorers as well. Kvaratskhelia 1-0. Thuram to equalise, and then Desiree Doué in the 93rd minute to win it. So 2-1 PSG, says Ryan. The Horse says PSG 3-2. And Shazane says Inter to win the final. On TikTok, a couple of comments, and I think a couple of them still coming in. Right to the wire. Vinny says 4-3 PSG. Martin says PSG 2-1. David says 3-2 PSG, and Paul says PSG 2-1. So a lot of people predicting that PSG will win it. The Gospel of Christ, love that name, says PSG is definitely going to win. So a lot of people very confident in PSG. As we watch the pre-game show, which is very Super Bowl-esque here this evening, and I have no idea who that is, but they're putting on some show in the Allianz Arena before kickoff tonight. But back to the football, and let's talk about both sides, because and individuals, and what can make the difference tonight for these two teams. Because if we to kind of pinpoint an area of the pitch in which you'd say this, PSG, this is their best part, or Inter, this is their best section, PSG's midfield is by far, in my opinion, their best attribute, because they're probably one of the best midfields in Europe, if not the best midfield in Europe at this minute in time. The versatility and the variety of those three midfielders is immense. The hard-fought toughness of Vitinha, that silky football and passing ability of Fabian Ruiz, and then that intensity of João Neves. Just a terrific trio in that midfield, and that's what makes PSG work and tick, and they just overcome opposition by dominating that area of the pitch. And then we talk about Inter. Inter's defence is what reigns supreme. Other than the Barcelona game, I think no one in Europe is able to find a way consistently and find that Achilles heel of that Inter defence. They're rock solid to the core. And, you talk about the mix of youth and experience in that Inter defence, and the grit and steely determination, to win challenges, to battle, to win one-on-ones, to race back towards their own goal, to make last-ditch tackles. All of that combined, I think, makes them one of the toughest nuts to crack in European football, no doubt. And I think, they will be the two talking points tonight. In terms of players, this is who I think will be the talking points. Ousmane Dembele for PSG scored 25 goals in 28 appearances in 2025, this calendar year. He has 33 goals in all competitions this season, including 8 in the Champions League, and he's the League One joint top scorer. Won the, of course, the Golden Boot in Ligue 1 this season with 21 league goals, and he was voted the Ligue 1 Player of the Season for 24-25. So Ousmane Dembele, wonderful season, no doubt for him, and we expect him to be one of the key players, and certainly one of the important players, certainly for PSG, to try and win this game tonight. For Inter, it's their front two, that combination of Lautaro Martinez and Marcus Thuram. The dynamic duo is what I like to call them. Their dynamic is fantastic. Thuram is the target man, and then Martinez making the runs in behind, kind of pinning the opposition defence back, making them work hard to try and stop them. And their connection between the two is just instinctive in how they play football. And we look at Lautaro Martinez's stats. He scored once every 85 minutes of his Champions League campaign this season. 9 goals in 13 appearances in this competition, this campaign. One of the top strikers in Europe, and certainly one of the top performing forwards in Europe. But look at Marcus Thuram. The job he does, the hold-up play, to allow runners off him, is so integral to the way Inter get forward. So they're both equally as important. One puts the ball into the back of the net on a more consistent basis, but one of them is so integral to the build-up and the ability to allow the wide players to break free, to allow those wing-backs to really get them forward. So that front two of Inter is as important as any part of the PSG team and any part of any team in Europe this season. Right, we are just minutes away from the 2025 Champions League final getting underway. We'll have the teams as they emerge from the tunnel from the Allianz Arena in just a moment. Welcome back to Champions League Live for our Champions League Final 2025. Don't forget, tomorrow, our first episode of the LFS React Show. It premieres at 1 o'clock UK time tomorrow on the LFS YouTube channel. We're reacting to Mark Goldbridge and his reaction to the Europa League final. We'll be reacting to that. That premieres tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Right, back to the main event tonight. And we end the domestic season with a Champions League final, as is customary with a season ender. A grand finale, well worthy. Two sides well worthy of this position, and both hoping for European glory. Let's have a look at the starting lineups for tonight's Champions League final. And we start with a designated home side, Paris Saint-Germain. Gianluigi Donnarumma starts in goal. A back four of Achraf Hakimi, Marquinhos the captain, Willian Pacho and Nuno Mendes in a back four. In midfield, Vitinha, João Neves and Fabian Ruiz in that midfield three, with a front three tonight for PSG of Kvaratskhelia, Desiree Doué and Ousmane Dembele leading the line. On the bench for Luis Enrique's side, Safonov, Tenas Kimpembe, Hernandez Beraldo Lee, Mayula Zaire-Emery Ramos, Barcola and Mbaye. For Inter Milan, they start with Jan Sommer in goal. A back five/back three of Denzel Dumfries, Benjamin Pavard, Francesco Acerbi, Alessandro Bastoni and Federico Di Marco in defence. In midfield, Hakan Çalhanoğlu is joined by Henrik Mkhitaryan and Nico Barella, with a front two of Marcus Thuram and captain Lautaro Martinez. On the bench for the Azzurri tonight and Simone Inzaghi's team, Di Gennaro, Martinez, De Vrij, Augusto Bisek, Zalewski, Zielinski, Fratesi, Aslani, Darmian, Taremi and Arnautovic. Two sides that have fought their way to the final. One more hurdle to jump. Will it be PSG falling again at the final hurdle, or will Inter be conquered once again for the second time in 3 years? We will find out as we get ready to get underway in the 2025 Champions League final from the Allianz Arena in Munich, with a kick-off next. A very good evening and welcome to the 2025 Champions League final. It's great to have you with us for this one tonight. We are looking forward to it indeed. The grand finale, the ultimate ending to the season, the Champions League final. It's always as glorious as can be, and tonight we watch two sides well worthy of a place in this season's final. And no doubting, PSG may be the dark horses of this competition this season. No one really said, oh, they're going to go all the way, especially not after their league phase finish of 15th. But it just shows you, when you show up in the big moments, in the big games, and when you need to show up the most, that's what's important. And look at what they've achieved to get to this point. Only the club's second ever Champions League final. They hadn't been to a European Cup final in the first 49 years of the club's history, but they have reached their second in 5 years, and their second overall in the club's history after 55 years. But Inter have already won 3. They want to make it 4. They failed at the final hurdle 2 years ago. They want their revenge, and they want to see European glory return to the city of Milan for the first time in 15 years. and return to Italy for the first time in 15 years. As we get ready to get underway, PSG in their navy blue home strip and Inter in their away strip of yellow with black trimmings as we get going for the 2025 Champions League final in Munich. PSG were beaten by Bayern Munich in the 2020 final. Inter were beaten by a first-time winner in 2023. Both sides have their bad omens, but both sides have their good omens coming into tonight's game and have their advantages in equal measure. That's what makes it so complicated. That's what makes it so unpredictable. And who knows who's going to come out victorious tonight? I certainly don't. I can tell you that much. But I can tell you it will be some atmosphere, and it is already some atmosphere inside the Allianz Arena. We expect PSG to hold more of the possession, to be the more controlling side with the ball. We expect Inter to have that blistering counter-attacking threat, and here they are with Thuram already trying to get on the ball, but nicely blocked off by Nuno Mendes for PSG. And it's kept by Achraf Hakimi there under pressure. The Gospel of Christ says Dembele is the best. Mary Jane Piper says I can't even read some of those names, so kudos to you for saying them. Yeah, let's just say I've had a lot of practice with that over the season. Certainly doing it a number of times in the way to the final. But I can tell you, the first time I read them, it wasn't as smooth as it was there. I've had a lot of practice at it. And a lot of times reading over the names and making sure I get them right. Because that's one thing you don't want to do, is mispronounce someone's name. Especially it's such a big event. Of course, it's all been leading up to this. This is what we love. This is what we wait for every single season. Who will be crowned champions of Europe? We will know in the next couple of hours whether it will be PSG's first or Inter's fourth. One of them will be crowned. That's a great attempt of a through ball there by Doué, but it's nicely blocked off by Acerbi, although given away cheaply here by Barella. And Doué's trying to break into the box, and the bit of defending from Inter there to clear it away. And I think there was an Inter player down on the edge of the box, which has got the Azzurri a free kick. Yeah, it was Doué holding off Calhanoglu, and the referee I think has given a foul for that. So a free kick to Inter Milan. That man, Luis Enrique, he will be God tier level of coaches if PSG win this competition. This is the one they've been waiting for. They've won everything else, but this is the one they're waiting for. They've won all they could domestically, but Europe is yet to be conquered by the Paris Saint-Germain side. Could they do it tonight? That ball played back to Jan Sommer. He tries to fizz it out, but it's Ousmane Dembele's press that forces the mistake off Jan Sommer, and a throw-in for PSG. Well, we do expect that to be the game plan of the Parisians tonight. That high press, that high intensity football, not give Inter any time on the ball. Similar to the way Barcelona did it, although Barca probably and certainly pushed their backline a lot higher than PSG will tonight. They will play high, PSG, but not that high. But they will certainly apply a very intense press. Here is Vitinha. Switches back to Marquinhos, who felt that defeat in 2020, amongst a few others. Well, that's a loose ball in midfield there from PSG, and it was Dembele dropping deeper that gave it away. And then caught there was Mkhitaryan by Achraf Hakimi on the break, and that's going to get Inter a free kick. But that's one thing PSG will need to be wary of. That counter-attacking threat from Inter Milan that is ever so evident. Worked it well there, did Inter. Dimarco back to Bastoni, into Calhanoglu, and on the turn Martinez dropped a little bit deeper, but nicely cut out by Achraf Hakimi as Martinez tried to find it out wide to Barella. The long ball from PSG found the foot of Doué, but he couldn't find Dembele, and Sommer can retrieve. But not for very long there from Jan Sommer, as his long ball is right out of play for a PSG throw. Neither side keen on keeping the possession in that phase of play. High press of PSG almost working again. Vika Kvaratskhelia was intently pressing Benjamin Pavard. Almost got something out of it. Look at both sets of fans engulfed with passion. No doubt about it. Both sets of fans will be rocking all the way throughout the night, trying to help their sides over the line, and one more step to take to European glory. Hakimi out wide to Doué. Inside it goes to Ruiz, who links it up with Desiree Doué, but he's got a chase on Bastoni here. Doué holds it up well, as Alessandro Bastoni though uses his muscle and won the ball. I think the referee's actually pulled it back for a foul though. The assistant didn't flag it for a foul on Alessandro Bastoni, but the referee thought it was and has given a free kick to PSG here. It looked like Bastoni was just out muscling Desiree Doué, but the referee saw a foul. See it again. Yeah, he did just shove him to the ground, to be fair. That's a good decision. Our referee this evening is from Romania. Istvan Kovacs is our referee this evening. Our VAR is Dennis Hiegler from the Netherlands. But an early PSG set-piece chance. Vitinha over it on this wide right-hand side. Right-footed delivery. All the way through. And out the other end, Kvaratskhelia keeps it alive. He whips it back in. Bouncing around, not cleared away. Vitinha in the box. Vitinha chips it back post. Header is up, but header is wide. In there from Marquinhos. Good threat from PSG. Couple of crosses that weren't keenly dealt with by Inter. Maybe give PSG a little glimpse. But the ultimate header from Marquinhos was directed wide, and a goal kick was the result. DeMarco undercooked it. Nicely won back by Doué again. Good press from PSG, but sloppy from Inter there. Nice work in between the lines. Ruiz. Out wide it goes to Vitinha. Now Neves. Back inside to Desiree Doué. Keeping it moving. The Parisians. Vitinha. Out wide it goes to Nuno Mendes, and he has to turn it back to his centre-backs, who get it moving quickly. Hakimi. Neves. Popping it around PSG, looking to find a way through what is, as we know, a pretty stubborn defence. As Doué tries his little tricks, steps inside, laid it off to Dembele, who played it out to Vitinha. He's holding on for dear life to the ball there, but he did, and got it off to Neves. A mix of good passing and good hold-up play. That was a lovely switch ball by Pacho, and Ruiz finding it through. And the cutback from Hakimi was well blocked in the box. But it's all PSG at the moment. Inter cannot break out, and they're so stuck in their own defensive third at the moment. The team in yellow have no way out at the moment. It's all Paris Saint-Germain. Here's Hakimi high up on the right side. He's got Ruiz for company, but he chops back to Neves. And Vitinha, now Pacho, drifting wide, feeds it into the path of Doué. He's come central and will have a shot. But it's straight down the throat of Jan Sommer. Nice attempt from Desiree Doué from the edge of the box. But in the end, comfortable enough for Jan Sommer in the Inter goal. Inter trying to play her from the back here in this intense press of PSG. It's not giving them much room, but that's a nice ball to find Marcus Thuram, who breaks off his man. Held up by Martinez just about as he fizzes it out wide here. Dumfries. Barella with the ball in, looking for Martinez, but nicely cut out by the PSG defence. That was a nice move from Inter. They committed the PSG players into the press, and a nice ball by Di Marco down the line to Thuram, who I said he is the target man. He holds it up, he allows runners off him. Once he gets into gear, Inter can be a major threat. Here's Bastoni down the line to Di Marco again. Has to cut it back to Calhanoglu. Amon says, thank you for your check-in. Keep up the good content. Thank you very much indeed. Great to have you all with us this evening for this one. 10 minutes into this Champions League final. Still 0-0. But PSG with the vast majority of possession, as you would expect. And with the only real opportunities so far. But Inter showing a little glimpse when they do get on the ball of that ability to counter. Without any real great productivity so far. Hakimi, nice ball down the line. Look at the freedom here for Ousmane Dembele to charge towards the box, and Dembele will hit one. But he hits it low and hard, and right at Jan Sommer once again. But the space for Ousmane Dembele on that right side was nigh on criminal from Inter's defence to allow him that opportunity to charge at the defence. And he kind of run through them like a knife through butter. Silky from Ousmane Dembele, who we know has got a major uptick in his output this season. Here's Kvaratskhelia. Gets past Dumfries, works it into the middle. Has to cut it back. Ball fade through. Here's the ball across and the tap in for Achraf Hakimi. And Paris Saint-Germain have broken the deadlock. It's tiki-taka at its best. And PSG open the scoring in Munich. Inter carved open. Runners, cute passes, intricate play, and a tap in for Achraf Hakimi. In a centre forwards position, the right back opens the scoring. One of the best attacking fullbacks on the planet at the moment, Achraf Hakimi. And he is the one that's in the right place at the right time. Wonderful ball by Vitinha. Doué lays off his man, squares it across the box, and no one within the vicinity of Achraf Hakimi in yellow. And he's got to tap into an empty net because Sommer committed to one side. And in a Champions League final, if there's ever a gift of a goal, there was the perfect example of it. His fourth of the campaign in the Champions League for Hakimi. And PSG lead by a 0-0 in the 2025 Champions League final. An early goal, an early vein of confidence for Paris Saint-Germain. What they couldn't do in 2020 is what they get done inside 15 minutes in 2025. They couldn't find the net the first time round. Well, they have the second, and they have found the net inside 12 minutes here. They've started the better of the two teams. They've had the rhythm, they've had the combinations, they've had the passing from minute one. And Inter have barely got out. And they've just come under the thumb of PSG, who have squashed Inter within 12 minutes. We know they can come back. They've done it before, Inter. And there's more than enough time to do it in this Champions League final. But that is such an early opportunity. And such an early kind of settling for PSG. To take a lead so early in the game is a statement in a Champions League final. All the way back to Sommer again. They're playing out from the back again here, Inter. PSG all over them with the press, and Kvaratskhelia says you're going nowhere there with that one. In Hakan Calhanoglu. And it's out for an Inter throw. And Simone Inzaghi tasted defeat 2 years ago with this side. Has he learnt his lesson from 2023? Or are they sleepwalking into another defeat in a Champions League final? Long way to go, but they have certainly find themselves under the cosh early. 14 minutes gone. Just short of 15 minutes. It's been all PSG. Every time Inter get the ball, it's run about their own half. They've barely been in the PSG half in possession of Inter. And that will be a concern. They're not displaying that threat enough to kind of make PSG a little bit wary. PSG are pressing forward and seeing no kind of rebound or any sort of fight back from Inter in these early moments. It's so crucial that they find something to Inter. Just get a bit of the ball, really. Just have some of the possession, actually move the ball about, give your team a couple of touches, keep the ball filtering through. But I think the player with the most touches for Inter so far is their goalkeeper, Jan Sommer, because he is the only one that is getting the ball and isn't being intently pressed by a man within seconds of getting the ball. PSG are all over them. All over them. A long throw whipped in, flicked up towards Thuram, beautifully held up. And then a little bit of a late snatch at Lautaro Martinez there. We'll get Inter a free kick. Around about the halfway line. As they say, that's mainly what we expect from Inter tonight. Holding it up with Marcus Thuram and looking for runners off of him. And Thuram there didn't hold it up well. Gave it away cheaply. Although won it back well. And there's a bit of space here for Dumfries down this right side, who felt he was brought down. But the Romanian referee says no. And Inter do retrieve the ball off PSG. Oh, that's a bobbly one back to Jan Sommer, who's under pressure. He's almost caught out by Dembele as he just gets it off to DeMarco in time. But every single second you think PSG are going to nick it away, and here they come again. Kvaratskhelia into the box. Kvaratskhelia over the bar. But again, Inter just look hopeless in these early moments, and I'm not trying to be too harsh too early, but they are really struggling. And PSG are displaying dominance. Dominance. Remember I said they had 8 clean sheets in their first 9 games of this competition this season. Did Inter. But now none in their last 6, including tonight. Was that the omen? Was that the call? Was that the sign that Inter's solid defence was starting to become a little bit leaky? There's that clash there between, is it Denzel Dumfries and Nuno Mendes, I believe. There's a PSG player down. It's beautiful from PSG, but criminal from Inter. I mean, no one tracking the man at the back post. I mean, they've all been attracted to the ball at the near side with Desiree Doué. But it's as simple as you like. A square ball across the edge of the 6-yard box from Doué, and an absolute tap-in for Achraf Hakimi. I mean, I couldn't say how simple it looked. And all the build-up, all the talk about how Inter's defence is so incredibly solid. But they looked as weak as a wet bit of paper there, that defence, and it just wasn't convincing at all. Both sides trying to get grip of the ball, as Mendes is okay, by the way, to continue. We are playing again. Chill Guy says Doué is cooking. He is. An assist in a Champions League final for him. Desiree Doué. He's had a great season, the 19-year-old. 3 Champions League goals, 2 assists in his 15 games. He's played 15 so far. Got 2 assists at the weekend in the Coupe de France final. Winning by 3-0 at PSG. Against Reims last weekend. Got 2 assists that night. Showing up in finals as the youngster. As Inter battling down that right side, and PSG deny them a chance at a corner there, and they want to spring away themselves. Kvaratskhelia feeds it through to Dembele. He's got a runner and Fabian Ruiz through the middle. If he can find him, Dembele. He switches it across. It's Doué into the box. It's Desiree Doué! And the deflection takes it in. And PSG doing to Inter what Inter have done to so many others. Pressing at one end, bursting away at the other, and breaking away and scoring a counter-attack goal. PSG are in dreamland. 2 goals in 20 minutes in a Champions League final. If it was close before kick-off, it's anything but in the first 20 minutes. Desiree Doué set up the first by the help of a deflection, finished the second, but this from Willian Pacho. What a bit of defending to deny Inter a corner, and that moment changes the game. They break away down that left channel. Kvaratskhelia finds Dembele. Dembele, he's got bodies in the middle, but what he spots is that man at the back. He spots Desiree Doué, free as you like, and as he hits the strike on the half volley, it takes a deflection, it wrong foots Jan Sommer, and it finds the back of the internet. It's Federico Di Marco with a deflection. It's so unfortunate. He's not even facing the ball and trying to defend it. But PSG, dreamland isn't a word for it. What a start in the Champions League final for the Parisians. And surely, with so much of the game left, of course, but surely they feel tonight might just be their night. PSG 2, Inter Milan 0. And what a start for Luis Enrique's PSG. 2-0. Oh my goodness. Desiree Doué, take a bite. Setting up the first so coolly, so calmly, and scoring the second. Although Inter have won it back here, high up the area, and out wide, winning a corner through Denzel Dumfries. Well, Inter were 2-0 up in both of their semi-final legs, and came all the way, were pegged back themselves and ended up winning. They now have to come from 2-0 down in the final. They have a corner, their first of the game. Right-footed delivery into the box. The header is over the bar. That was a great opportunity. I think it was Acerbi that got the header. I'll see it again. It's a whip ball in. Yeah, it is. It's Francesco Acerbi. It got up above everyone else, and he just couldn't keep his header down. Flying over the bar. Simone Inzaghi billowing, screaming at his players. If there was ever a way to not start a Champions League final, it's this. Because what a start for PSG, but for me, Inter have been so open defensively in these early moments. It's quite shocking, really. It's so unexpected. Haven't been able to lock it up again, have Inter. Barcelona unlocked it in both games. They conceded 6 over 2 legs in the semi-finals, did Inter. 3 at each game. They just, so far in this one tonight, haven't been able to reseal it, because PSG have carved them open twice. Inside 20 minutes. They want to go again, that 1-2 down the left side, but Benjamin Pavard gets in the way of it. A team from his country, Benjamin Pavard. He got that one out for the PSG throat, which goes all the way back into PSG's half here. Overall, you got to say, it's some start for the 19-year-old. If we thought Lamine Yamal was a burst onto the scene sensation over the last year and a half or so, Desiree Doué, he has come from kind of the oblivion, and he has burst himself onto the scene this season in the Champions League. I mean, what a campaign he has had. He's put in some top quality performances this season at such a young age. at the highest of heights, under so much pressure, playing with so much freedom. It's just sensational to watch. And Desiree Doué, a goal and an assist in a Champions League final. And we're only 25 minutes in. Sensational stuff. Sommer again. Again, every time. I gotta say, I'm all for playing out from the back. I love it when it works well. But when you can't do it, and you've known for the first 25 minutes of this game it's not going to work, why do you insist on keep doing it? It's so frustrating to watch. Jan Sommer and that Inter defence have played out from the back every single time, and they have lost the ball every single time. It's not working. And PSG will kill you if you keep doing that. Rousset says, Doué brace. No, Doué got a goal and an assist tonight. Just 2-0 to PSG at the moment. Thank you very much for joining us. So far, I mean, you could not have predicted this. What a start for PSG. But again, for Inter, the shock of, really, how open they've been defensively. Hakimi laying it off. Ruiz will hit one, but he hits it right at Jan Sommer. Again from the edge of the box, but they're getting opportunities to shoot. Or PSG. Oh, sorry. I thought you were saying, did he get a brace? No, you think he will score a brace? Well, he's already got a goal and an assist, so I wouldn't bet against him adding another from that one. Welcome in, Armin. Great to have you with us. That was nice work down the right side from Inter there. Chip ball across from Dumfries over the head of Martinez and hooked away by the PSG defence and Marquinhos. That was better from Inter. They worked it down the sideline, and it was Dumfries again, and who's looked an incredible threat. If we thought Achraf Hakimi was a great fullback, a great attacking fullback certainly, Denzel Dumfries can put his name on that list. He, for me, is certainly one of the top kind of top wing backs in the world at the minute, no doubt. What he produces down that right hand side for Inter is nothing short of quite remarkable. 3-1 Soccer is Life says they are playing too deep. They are. When they get the ball with their keeper, they are all just kind of sitting a bit too deep, and then PSG can push forward because they know that they're going to try and get something out of them, and they're not going to be able to play out of it so far. Although Inter have pressed well here. Trying to find DiMarco was Barella, but nicely seen out by Achraf Hakimi. I think he was offside anyway, Federico DiMarco. He was quite clearly offside there. Simply, and well spotted by the assistant on that side. But Hakimi didn't know that, and he still stepped across to defend the situation. But DiMarco was in an offside position. And this is DiMarco here for that Desiree Doué goal again. What a goal. Lovely from Desiree Doué. So unfortunate for Federico DiMarco. Not much he could really do. Tried to get his body in the way, and sometimes that's the way it goes. You step into the way of a ball and it hits you in the wrong area. It deflects past your goalkeeper and in. I would guess it will be a defender's nightmare. Something like that. But Inter really need to find something different, because so far they have barely even got anywhere near Gianluigi Donnarumma. Never mind test him. They've barely got anywhere near his box in the first nearly 30 minutes of this final. OJ Singh says, can I have a shout out please? You can. Welcome in, OJ Singh. Great to have you with us. Now Inter breaking forward again, trying to cut back into the box. Nicely blocked, whipped it in again, and cleared away again, this time by Vitinha. And maybe starting to get a little bit more of it wider, our Inter. getting the ball wide down the channels where they're starting to find a little bit of space. The ball fizzed down that side toward Dumfries, but not kept in play on that occasion, and out for a PSG throw. Well, as I mentioned, this is PSG's second ever European Cup final. Their only previous one was a 1-0 defeat to Bayern back in 2020. They would become the 24th different side to win the European Cup if they are victorious tonight. And only one French side has ever won this competition, which was Marseille beating AC Milan back in 1993. So that could be a good omen for PSG. Here's Desiree Doué breaking forward. Finding space, lovely little pass with the outside of his right boot. And here's Dembele trying to whip it across. It was blocked by Denzel Dumfries, and it will be a PSG corner. They're very fluid, that PSG attacking line. They're not sticking to rigid positions. Dembele's drifting wide. Doué's working in behind the centre forward. There's an auxiliary centre forward every now and again. It could be Kvaratskhelia going centre or a midfielder coming forward. They're very fluid in attack, PSG, in these early moments. No one's sticking to a specific role or a specific position on the field. Nuno Mendes to take this corner for Paris Saint-Germain. Will be a left-footed outswinger from the left side, whipped in over the head of Marquinhos, brought down on the edge though, chipped in by Hakimi, and then it's seen out at the back post for a goal kick, sailing over the heads of everyone in the box. Well, this is Inter's 7th European Cup final. They've won 3 and lost 3 of their previous 6. And that last win in a European Cup final came in 2010. Inter win would be their 4th title in the competition. That would be joint 5th ranked all time alongside Ajax, who have 4. Of course, Bayern Munich and Liverpool have 6. Barcelona have 5. AC Milan have 7. And then, of course, Real Madrid have 15. So Inter would join alongside Ajax with 4 if they were to win tonight. They are the last Italian team to win a Champions League, or Inter. Only one other Italian side has actually been in a final since Inter's 2010 win, and that was Juventus. They were in the final twice in 2015 and 2017, both losing to Spanish opposition in Barcelona and Real Madrid. In those 2 finals, Juventus. But take nothing away from Paris Saint-Germain. They have been nothing short of exceptional in the first 33 minutes of this game. Their energy, their precision, their ability to work through trouble has been quite sensational so far. And just their variety of play is so glorious to watch. Here they come again. Here's Dembele off the right-hand side. Chops it back to Vitinha. Back to Dembele. Takes on DiMarco. No way past him, only a corner. Ousmane Dembele trying to switch his way through Federico DiMarco. Couldn't find a way through that time, and PSG corner will come. This will be their 2nd corner of the night. Their 1st from this right-hand side. Now 3-2-1 says they are not aggressive when attacking. Yeah, Inter are not aggressive when they're attacking at the moment. They are really kind of struggling to get any sort of physicality further forward. PSG are just dominating them in that area so far. Dominating them in every area so far. Another corner, Mendes to deliver again. This time an in-swinger, whip to the back posts, but the header by Marquinhos is well wide. Look at that from Ousmane. Look at Ousmane Dembele there. Inter are ready to take a goal kick, and he's like an Olympic sprinter on the starting line. He's ready to pounce. He's ready to go. As soon as the ball gets in play, he's ready to charge. Although Inter have broke free here, and the ball towards the box from Nico Barella. It's nicely seen away from Marcus Thuram in the middle. PSG scramble it clear, but it's a little bit better from Inter. But again, we saw that intensity from Ousmane Dembele, just a charge on that press as soon as the ball is in play. What a ball. Switch ball from PSG, just glorious. They're absolutely toying with Inter here. That switch ball from Nuno Mendes is fabulous. Nicely taken down by Ousmane Dembele, and it's just glorious to watch. So silky, so smooth, so precise from PSG. As Marquinhos slips as he plays the ball forward, it wasn't a bad ball, considering he did slip, Marquinhos, and it was Kvaratskhelia that was in behind, but a little bit too much on it. Allowed Jan Sommer to catch, but nice idea from the PSG captain. Less than 10 minutes to go of the first half here in Munich. PSG 2, Inter 0. That was a nice combination from Inter there on the move. Thuram cuts it back to Lautaro Martinez, who's come wide. Very wide. He's got bodies in the middle. Denzel Dumfries is playing as a centre forward at the minute for Inter. They haven't worked wide again. Çalhanoğlu to deliver. Oh, it wasn't too far away there. In the centre for Marcus Thuram. Nicely defended by William Pacho. He needed to defend it. Otherwise, it would have been a good attempt for Marcus Thuram. Again, they're working it wide, Inter. And they're getting it towards the box with those crosses. Looking a little bit more of a threat as the half continues. Another Inter corner here. Lofted into the box. The header is hit wide by Marcus Thuram. What a chance. Beautiful lofted ball to the back post. He's got two trying to charge to block him. It's Kvaratskhelia that tries to put him off. He gets above him. He gets a clean header to it. But he heads it straight wide. Doesn't get it anywhere near on target. That was a lovely chance for Marcus Thuram, and he couldn't take it. There's a slight issue here for Nuno Mendes again. Straight after that corner, so might be a little bit of an issue here. And Luis Enrique allowing his players to get a little bit of liquids in. It's been a baking day in Munich, I hear. All the players getting some liquids. I'm sure they're absolutely gasping out there. Whether you've been a PSG player or an Inter player in the first 20 or first 35 minutes or so, I'm sure you will be absolutely gasping, because it's still 23 degrees at 20 to 10 at night in Munich. So it is still quite hot for the time of night it is. Those fans won't care how hot it is. The Inter fans still supporting their side with great belief and applauding them on. They've seen at their own hands that a 2-0 lead is not insurmountable. As I said, Inter were 2-0 up against Barcelona in both legs of their semi-finals. And Barca brought it all the way back to scoring 3 without reply in both games. Obviously, in the end, Inter did go on to win in the semis, but they know a 2-goal lead is not insurmountable to Inter. And that is what will keep them believing in this Champions League final. But what a lead you have if you're PSG. We said it's the most dangerous scoreline in football, 2-0. Because you can think you're nearly there. You can maybe step off the accelerator a little bit and just let the opposition back in, and they might have a chance here. Inter, nicely worked, but nicely cut out again by the experienced head of Marquinhos. 31-year-old Brazilian. He's been here before, and he knows the pain of not getting over the line, and he's stepping up with his experience to help his teammates out. But Inter having a decent spell here. Thuram, out wide it goes. Dumfries with the ball in, bobbling across. Not cleared away cleanly as Barella gets in the mix, and he's still alive as Marquinhos comes to try and track him. Dumfries with a delivery, and cleared away in there by Willian Pacho again. And Inter having a decent spell with those crosses from wide areas. PSG not looking completely solid in those areas. Getting the job done at the moment. And Inter maybe just giving PSG a little bit of a worry. As Kvaratskhelia though breaks forward. You think every time PSG come forward, you think they're going to have a chance to score. That's the precedent they've set so early. Hakimi out wide to Fabian Ruiz. Passing it around with sheer composure of the Paris players. So far 60% of the ball in the first half, PSG. They definitely got more of that at the first 20-25 minutes. They probably had around 70% of the ball in the first 20 minutes. I can tell you Nuno Mendes is on the field again. He is okay for the moment. So he went down twice in that first half. He is okay to continue, but they will surely keep an eye on him and probably assess him at half time to see how he is. But he is okay to play the remainder of this game so far. That's a little bit high and heavy from Marquinhos again towards Dembele that time. And out for an Inter throw on the far side. This could be an important 5 minutes though for PSG, as a few of you said in the chat. It could be important for them just to hold on to half time, to maybe if Inter are having that little positive spell, just to maybe try and see it out till the half. But for Inter's point of view, if they're having their probably best spell of the game at the moment, they need to try and capitalise upon it and get the next goal in this game. Because if they don't, they will be in a really tough position heading into the second half, and certainly heading into the next 45, because PSG will only grow in belief the longer it stays as it is. I'm sure the Inter belief will at one point start to diminish a little bit if it stays as it is. As Doué felt it was a PSG throw. I think they have been given the throw in there, the Parisians. They have. To Benjamin Pavard's disagreement. Marina says, let's go 2-0. Rissé says, gonna cry if he tears his ACL. Don't mention that. I don't think it's anywhere near that. He should be okay, but I don't think he's anywhere near that sort of level. He wouldn't be able to play if he'd done that. He would be gone, but he is okay. Marina says, you're the best YouTuber I've seen. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I really do appreciate that. What a ball over the top here for PSG. It's Doué down the left-hand side. It's Desiree Doué. Whips it across. Back post. Oh! Goodness me. Cleared it there, really, Dembele. What a ball by Desiree Doué again, and Dembele couldn't find the net. He kicked it away. He probably helped Inter defending that moment, never mind trying to score. But if that finds the net, surely that's game over. But Inter might get a slice of luck there. That Ousmane Dembele, one of the hottest strikers in the European scene this season, in terms of form in front of goal, couldn't convert from that position. I'll get a replay of it. I'll look at it again, but my goodness. Trying it again over the top to Hakimi this time. Nicely defended by Di Marco. Taken down by Lautaro Martinez. Has to go back though. Does Dumfries back to his keeper Jan Sommer. Finding Benjamin Pavard. Setting up a real downfall here as Çalhanoğlu gives it away, but Hakimi runs out of pitch. And it will be a throw into Inter. Thank you very much for joining us, Coops. I do see it. Relax yourself. I do see it. Thank you very much for joining us. Martinez across to DiMarco. We will have 2 additional minutes at the end of the first half. 2 minutes to go, although Inter have given it away in the midfield again. And Ruiz stripping away the shot. Oh! Just wide from Doué again. It was low. It was accurate. He was trying it. And he wasn't too far away there, Desiree Doué. Bobbling wide. But it had Jan Sommer committed. If I'm Simone Inzaghi at half-time, I am screaming at my players to mark Desiree Doué, because he is having the freedom of the Allianz pitch tonight. And he is carving Inter open time and time again. Dembele has gone wide on the right-hand side here. Plays it back into midfield for Vitinha. Now Ruiz, who's dropped a little deeper. And Pacho goes back to Marquinhos. Hakimi. Down the line it goes to Dembele, nicely threatened by DiMarco, but well held on to by the PSG midfield again. 30 seconds to go with the first half, and it looks like at half-time we're going to see a PSG double. It has them 2 to the good here. Unless they can maybe add a third if they're trying it here. Here's Kvaratskhelia dribbling towards the box, steps onto his right foot. Not given the room to shoot, goes on his left and shoots. And it takes a deflection, which carries it wide. It will be a corner to end the half. It looked like he'd know where to go. He chopped back beautifully, the Georgian. And as he has the strike with his left foot, it just bobbles off a Inter defender and deflects wide for the corner. But he wasn't too far away there, Kvaratskhelia. Not the most dominant of half from his point of view, but he's left it late to try and have a chance, and he will give his team one more corner before the break. Ousmane Dembele to take it. Right-footed, fizz towards the box. The header is over the bar from Kvaratskhelia, and that goes for a goal kick. And that is the end of the first half. Not a bad header. Just couldn't keep it down. But not a bad opportunity for Kvaratskhelia. But in the first half, as it comes to an end, it is PSG who are dominant. It is PSG who are well on top. And with 45 minutes at least to go, PSG are hot-footing it to becoming European champions for the very first time in their history. There's still another half to go, but they've got that 2-goal lead that has given them a real boost after the first half. We'll analyse that first half when we come back. Do stay with us. Welcome back to the 2025 Champions League final live here on LFS. Half time, it's PSG 2, Inter Milan 0 at the break. Thank you very much for joining us so far for this one. It's great to have you with us for this one this evening. We have got a lot to do and a long way still to go. We still have another half of this game remaining, but so far, what a first half for PSG. I mean, they couldn't have asked for anything better heading into half-time with a 2-goal lead and are basically have had barely anything to deal with defensively. I mean, we'll talk about it, we'll go through it, we'll analyse it in a second, but I got to let you in on a little thing here at the moment. I've been working all day and working this Champions League final out and getting everything set up, doing all the graphics and stuff. And the one thing I forgot to do was prepare the winner's graphic. The most important graphic of a final, and I forgot to prepare it. So I'm going to do that while we're analysing the first half, and I can do it. I can multitask. Who knows? But yeah, what a first half for PSG. And I mean, we talk about their dominance up front, and we know how good they are in attacking areas, and we know how threatening their attacking side can be. But what a half! Let's talk about Desiree Doué, because what a half he's put in. In his first Champions League final at just 19. I mean, he's putting in a memorable, if that, an unbelievably memorable first half performance in a Champions League final. I mean, a goal and an assist in the first 20 minutes of your first ever final, when your team's under so much pressure. PSG have been under pressure for years to win this competition, and they're probably their best chance, up to this point, to win the competition. And you come into the final and you put a performance like that on in the first 20 minutes. I mean, the way he set up the first goal, it's just how cool and calm and collected he is to square the ball across to Achraf Hakimi, who does incredibly well, breaks off the back of his man, doesn't really kind of make himself much known in the box, which kind of allows him to kind of drift free of anybody in there, and he finds the option at the back post. He finds the freedom of the back post, and Desiree Doué found him so perfectly to find the ball into the back of the net. But as I say, we talked about Lamine Yamal, and we've talked about Lamine Yamal so much this season, and I've spoke about him in the semi-finals. I spoke about him even in the Euros last year when we spoke about Spain en route to winning the Euros last summer. And we talk about youngsters in the competition nowadays, and in the biggest European, on the biggest scene in Europe. Lamine Yamal is probably the next best player to come out of the kind of youth talent in football at such a young age, only 17, and producing what he's producing at Barcelona, one of the biggest football clubs in the world. What he's producing so early in his career is remarkable. But Desiree Doué is doing something similar, if not the same, in that he is producing at such a high level for such a young player. And we look at the Champions League final. There is no bigger stage in world football than a Champions League final. When you come into a Champions League final, you know what the pressures are. Even the most experienced of players will feel that kind of bundle of nerves before a big game. And to come into this game in that first half, and I'm not saying he wasn't nervous, but what I'm saying, he didn't show his nerves. And that's the sign of an incredible player. When you come into a game, you might be nervous, but you don't let the opposition know that. You don't tell the opponent, you don't show it you show your quality in your performance, and you show what you're made of. And so far, he's actually been a bit quiet, but Desiree Doué has certainly shown that in the first half, and what a first half he's had. And for PSG, as I said, it couldn't be any better for them. 2-0 up in a Champions League final, halfway through it, knowing that they keep their calm, they keep their cool, which they have had this season, they will be the champions of Europe. It's that simple. I don't know when I say that, it's that simple. It's far from simple. But if they keep their cool, they keep their calm, and they've got the experience in the side to do that, of players who were here before and didn't quite get over the line 5 years ago, if they do it, they keep their cool, they can do it. I was expecting them to dominate possession. I was expecting them to dominate chances. I expected Inter to be that counter-attacking team. And it's quite ironic that PSG's second goal comes from that, that counter-attacking situation, and the touch from Doué, the square ball for the first goal. But we see him even more in the second one, and I think the ball down that left-hand side from the interlong throw. This bit of defending from William Pacha was fabulous to deny the corner, but then everything that happens afterwards. Kvaratskhelia gets on the move down that left side. He plays it through to Dembele down the left channel, and then you think he's got options in the middle. Try and find one of them, but he has the coolness and the calmness of mind to go, do you know what, I'm going to try and find that man. He spots the free man at the back post. He spots Desiree Doué in a good bit of space, and Doué hits the finish, and it gets a little bit of a deflection, but I mean, he'll take it, no doubt, and he becomes the third youngest goal scorer in a Champions League final, Desiree Doué. So there you are. That's the sign of talent and youth displaying top quality, and Desiree Doué certainly done that in the first half. Right, I'm still getting this these graphics done. I will have them done, don't worry, for the final whistle. So you will have something to look at. No doubt you'll know who the winners are when the final whistle goes, but some visual help to that. Thank you very much for joining us this evening so far for this one. Great to have you with us for this Champions League final. We're only halfway through, of course. Do let us know how you're thinking and feeling after that first half. It's been a wonderful first half for PSG, but where do Inter go from here? Do they try and change their approach? Because playing out from the back and kind of trying to beat the press of PSG has worked on slight occasion, but it's not worked enough, in my opinion, to be effective for the next half of football to try and come from 2-0 down. I think they need to try and find something different in the way they are playing to find a way through PSG in that second half, because PSG are defending them really well. Inter are barely getting forward with the ball. They're barely holding on to the ball. And when they give it away, Inter, they look vulnerable. So all of those combined is a massive worry. And I'm sure Simone Inzaghi will be well aware of that. There's no doubt. But what will he do to try and change it? Because we look at the stats in the first half. PSG had 62% possession, 1.42 XG, 2 big chances, 13 shots, 3 corners. They had 5 shots on target, and they had 2 big chances. 1 they missed, according to the stats here. For Inter, it couldn't be more opposite. They had 38% of the ball, 0.19 XG, 0 big chances, 2 shots overall, none on target, and 2 corners. So they barely had any attacking output in that first half. Inter probably, was it headers from corners, headers from set pieces? Acerbi and who else was it? Marcus Thuram, the 2 headers that were off target. And that's their attacking output from that first half. That's what sums up their first half. They've barely got forward, and even when they haven't been able to find the right players in the right moments. They haven't been able to find a way through PSG. PSG's goalkeeper, I mean, Gianluigi Donnarumma has probably had the quietest half of football that he's had in a long time. And I mean, coming into a Champions League final and having a quiet first half, he'd be loving it. He will be absolutely loving it. But again, there's a big half of football to come, and we'll see if they can get over the line. PSG, they haven't been able to ever before. But in the last and only previous Champions League final for them, they failed to score. They've done the difference tonight, and they scored 2 in the first half. So we will see if Luis Enrique can get the job done, and his players can get the job done in that second half, which will be on the way in about 4 minutes' time, less than 4 minutes' time, as it's just hits 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock local time, of course. Thanks for joining us this evening. Great to have you all with us for this one. We will be back in a few minutes, because we are going to take a quick break, get ready for the second half, which will be on the way in just a moment. Do stay with us. Welcome back to Champions League final live here on LFS this evening as PSG lead Inter by 2-0 in the 2025 Champions League final. Don't forget, the football season may be done, but we have more football and more coverage and content here on LFS over the next days, weeks and months of the summer. And we start our new series of LFS Reacts tomorrow. Premieres our first episode tomorrow, 1 o'clock here on the LFS YouTube channel, reacting to Mark Goldbridge's Watchalong from the Europa League final. That is out tomorrow, 1 o'clock it premieres on the channel. So go over there, hit a like on that, and tune in tomorrow at 1 o'clock for all the action. And we'll have episode 2 a little later next week, before we have the Nations League semi-finals and final, which are coming up next midweek and weekends. And then we have the start of the Club World Cup from the 15th of June all the way through to mid-July. So we will keep you right up to date and covered all the way throughout the summer. We have lots of action still for you to enjoy across the summer. By the way, if you're ever so interested, I did get the graphics done. We are trying to get them ready. For now, I'm trying to add them to the system, but we are all but there, all but sorted as we get ready for the second half, as the players will be entering the fray, entering the field of play once again, as they're in this the Allianz Arena tunnel for the second time tonight. They're in that tunnel, ready to head out, and ready to head out knowing the job they need to do in the second half of this game. Both sides, PSG need to keep their heads, Inter need to pull off a comeback once again. They need it. And there's no time to be wasted in trying to find it. Tonight is huge for these two teams. And they will be desperate to get over the line, as we will see what will occur in this second half. As Inter now back on the field. PSG have been on the field for a few moments as our referee Istvan Kovacs is waiting for all 22 players to enter the field once again, and everybody else to get off the field, ready for action. Don't forget to like, subscribe and turn on post notifications if you haven't done so. We're on the precipice of 27,000 subscribers. If we get there tonight, that would be incredible if we could do that. If you haven't done so already, do hit that subscribe button. It massively helps us. So thank you very much indeed for joining us as we get back underway for the second half here at the Allianz Arena in Munich. And a big job on the hands, certainly of Inter, in needing to come back. But no doubt PSG have a big job on their hands as well to get over the line. They've never done it before. Tonight they want to be their night. Can they do it and get over the line and get it done and dusted? Or will Inter be able to find a way back? Now they have a chance here, PSG, to add a third. Varaskelia trying to start the second half as he ended the first. And he got a good shot with the left foot, but it was off target from the Georgian. He stepped across his man. Gets inside off Benjamin Pavard, and he has the shot with his left foot and skied it. wide of the left post. Still 2-0 to PSG. They're trying it. A third goal would certainly be very welcomed. Can they find it though? Of course, the next goal will be crucial. If PSG do find a third, you would feel they're ready to take the crown. But if Inter get a goal back, anything is still possible. And they find the ball here. Thuram won the ball, was brought down there by Nuno Mendes. That's going to be a free kick to Inter. Is it going to be a yellow card? It was actually William Pacho that committed the challenge. And yeah, and he was a little bit late there, Pacho. That time on Marcus Thuram. So a free kick to Inter in a high area here. Decent opportunity. Try and get yourself an early goal to get back into this game. DeMarco and Çalhanoğlu over it. On this right hand side, it's Çalhanoğlu's delivery. But it's far too high and far too wayward. Goal kick. Well, Italian clubs have triumphed in 12 European Cup finals. They've competed in 29 in total, but they've won 12, lost 17 of their previous 29. This is the 30th final that an Italian side has competed in. Inter lost 3-2 to Sevilla in the 2020 Europa League final, of course, and obviously lost the 2023 Champions League final. But their record in UEFA finals is actually they've won more than they've lost over the years. Inter won 8 and lost 16 of their lost 6 of their previous 14 UEFA finals in all competitions. And their record against French clubs in 27 previous meetings against French teams in UEFA competitions, Inter have won 12, drawn 8 and lost just 7 of 27 previous meetings against French teams in UEFA competitions. So they have a good record against French opposition. So far tonight, that record isn't being shown or seen. That ball in was a nice attempt from Barella, but too far away to Thuram, although that wasn't the most convincing defensively from Achraf Hakimi. He put it behind for the Inter corner. The ball in by Barella caused a little bit of concern. It was too high for Thuram, but what happened is Hakimi couldn't bring it down and he kind of hit it and scrambled it behind for the corner, which Inter take quickly into the box, not cleared away. It's still alive, but in the end is cleared, and there was a handball, I think, against an Inter player in the middle. So therefore a free kick to PSG, which Inter are disputing. But the referee was quite certain. Yeah, it was. It was a handball off Lautaro Martinez. Initially, Inter were actually claiming a handball off Marquinhos, but it was never a handball on the Brazilian. But it was for Lautaro Martinez, who did handle the ball. Long ball kicked away by Donnarumma. Nicely taken down by Inter though, as Thuram tried to hold it. Nicely intercepted at the back there by Pacho, and look at the space here for PSG. It's Kvaratskhelia drifting towards the box, finding it across to Ruiz, back to Kvaratskhelia, who sweeps it again and slices it wide again. Again, it was good work from PSG on the breakaway. Won the ball back through Pacho and got on the move really quickly. Very direct in their approach were PSG there, and that's good defending away from Denzel Dumfries by Nuno Mendes, although I think they might have given a free kick there, the officials. They have. Simone Inzaghi just getting some kind words from the fourth official just to settle a little bit. Fourth official tonight, João Pinheiro from Portugal. He's the one that has the joy of listening to both managers on the sidelines. Sommer As they play it from the back again, Inter. Bastoni back to Jan Sommer. Goes long up the middle. No one in yellow in his sights, and it's intercepted by Nuno Mendes. Played into Fabian Ruiz. Ruiz drifting towards the box, finding Dembele, who will try and curl one. But he couldn't get anywhere near enough curl on it, Ousmane Dembele. And it's drifted wide for a goal kick. But again, being very quick with their approach, PSG. They move it, get it into the final third quickly. And they try and get a shot off as quick as possible. And Dembele's shot there just lacked the curl and the whip to reach that back post. And it goes well wide. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened with my mic there. But it is working now, I hope. I just heard a little click in my ear and then I looked at the monitor there. We're okay. Just they all technical difficulties. We've had a great kind of run with that and recently. And just a little hint. We're okay though. The mic is working fine now. It looked like Inter were readying a change there, by the way, as Kvaratskhelia gives away a foul. Dumfries winning another free kick on that wide area for Inter. Another set piece for the Azzurri. Try and find into the box. They're going to make a double substitution before that, though. It's going to see the introduction of Nikola Zalewski. And I believe it's Jan Bisek, it is. So, double change there. Benjamin Pavard and Federico Di Marco are coming off. And they're going to be replaced by Jan Bisek and Nikola Zalewski. As the cross was delivered in there, it was put behind. Donnarumma's gone down. And they're surrounded by Inter players who I don't think we're convinced that he was hurt there, or is hurt, Gigi Donnarumma. We'll see this again, the whip ball in. Donnarumma couldn't quite reach it. It was Marquinhos that got to it first and kind of collided with the centre-back there, the PSG goalkeeper. And goes behind for the corner off Marquinhos. OJ Singh says Inter isn't strong at attacking. Well, they're certainly having the better of it so far in the second half. Oh, he scrambled for it there, Donnarumma. It's not cleared away. The shots from Barella is well blocked and charged down, but they didn't look convincing there, PSG. Donnarumma has had a nervy last few moments. Far from convincing for the PSG keeper. Might give Inter a little bit of a glimpse of confidence. Ideas to what they need to try and do. They need to keep PSG at bay, and here they're on the brick again, but the through ball to Dembele, nicely dealt with by Bisek, the substitute, and Sommer gets rid of it quickly, although not kept alive by Barella. Gives it away, but Ruiz far from convincing in the midfield, and they might have a brick on here. Inter. Barella lays it on to Zalewski, cuts inside, tries to have a shot blocked, and another one. Not able to get the shot off, and it's now going to be a free kick to PSG. And he's going to get himself booked there. Is Zalewski, Nikola Zalewski. Yeah, he stepped in. It was a good block by João Neves. And then the second one cleared away by Fabian Ruiz. And Zalewski just catches Ruiz a little bit late. And the referee says it's a foul and a yellow card for the Inter substitute, who's only on the field about 2 or 3 minutes. And there's the confirmation of that yellow card First yellow card of the night, by the way. Donnarumma to kick long from that free kick. But there is some positive signs for Inter. You know, they've started the second half a little bit stronger. But again, at this rate, they need to try and find something. And fast. Because, as I said, PSG don't really need to do too much over the top. They just need to stay calm, stay controlled, and try and keep the game at 2-0 as best as they can and for as long as they can. And at the moment, they're more than doing that. But Inter have had some sprightly moments, but they need to be more threatening towards Donnarumma. Still yet to have a shot on target so far, Inter. As Caoimhan tries to break around the corner and was brought down as he tried to break away there. Was Marcus Caoimhan, and that's going to be a free kick to Inter on around the halfway line. And the referee has to sort out one or two issues here, because Simone Inzaghi was told to calm down by the fourth official, and he's now been called to over by the referee, who is going to give him a yellow card. And I think he's saying it's 5. I don't know what he's saying it's 5 about. I mean, Inzaghi is going nuts. He is grappling his blazer like I've never seen anyone grab something before. He is squeezing the life out of that blazer. His frustration really evident and really clear for Inzaghi. The side have shown some bright moments in the second half. But they need the next goal. That is for certain. OJ says, who's had more possession of the ball? PSG have had ample amount of possession, less than they did in the first half. Actually, Inter have had a lot of the possession in the second, but overall still 59-41 in PSG's favour, as Barella has a half-hearted effort from the edge of the box, well over the bar. Well, for PSG, let's bring you some information. Well, this is their 5th major UEFA final for PSG. They've won just one of their previous 4, losing 3. They won the 95-96 Cup Winners' Cup against Rapid Vienna back in 96. 1-0 they won that game. That's their only UEFA final win. They've lost the other 3 UEFA final wins. Of course, only one previous European Cup final in that mix. And Luis Enrique, in the pedigree, he's only the 10th coach to reach the European Cup final with different clubs. Of course, he won it with Barcelona 10 years ago now, that would be, Luis Enrique. So he's only the 10th coach in history to reach a European Cup final with different teams. Bisek trying to drift forward. Again, tracked all the way by Kvaratskhelia. And then PSG win it back, although felt there was a foul there. Referee says no issue as Inter play on, and they've got a break on down the left. The ball's whipped in, it takes a deflection. But it's nicely watched and nicely caught by Gianluigi Donnarumma. He holds on to it well. There's now an Inter player down, and that is Jan Bisek, holding his kind of the back of his right leg. He might have... Oh, he's hyperextended it there. Oh! His leg is as straight as it can be, and he's kind of leant on it. And maybe extended the back of his knee. That's a little bit of an issue. It can be one of those ones that can be painful to start with and he can run it off, but if he might have stretched something or hurt something, that might be a little bit of a worry. He is holding the back of his calf. So that might be a little bit of an issue. I think they're readying another change here, Inter. A reminder for you that we do have the UEFA Nations League semi-finals and final next midweek and next weekend. As PSG break away here, Dembele just a little bit short for Kvaratskhelia, who gets there. Who couldn't reach it at the back post. It was Hakimi with the ball. And Caoimhan was waiting for his tap-in moment that Hakimi had in the first half, but this from Desiree Doué. Wonderful skill. Dembele unleashed, found it out wide to Hakimi, who tried to square it across. And he wanted to give Caoimhan his tap-in moment, but he was nowhere near it, the Georgian. And it was deflected behind for a corner to PSG. Another corner, left-footed, drifted to the edge of the box here, a bit unorthodox. Shot from Vitinha, he actually chips it in, but chips it out the other end for a goal kick. They tried the straight off the training ground technique, but didn't quite work out that time for PSG. Changes afoot then. Inter have already made 2 changes. They're going to make another 2 at this moment in time. So still not happy with his team at the moment, Simone Inzaghi. Wants to make more changes, wants to manoeuvre his team more. And we'll see what these 2 changes can offer up. And Jan Bisek is off. So Bisek and Mkhitaryan are the 2 that have made way. So Bisek only brought onto the field in the 56th minute and is off after 62 minutes. So his, or 54th minute, so only lasted 8 minutes on the field, did Jan Bisek. He has been replaced as well as, of course, Henrik Mkhitaryan, who was also replaced there for Inter. So they've already made 4 substitutes. They've 1 just left to make. And Bisek brought on as a sub and was taken off just 8 minutes later. But I can see why Simone Inzaghi wants to make more changes to his team, because they've still yet to have a shot on target. Oh, what a lovely drag back by Dembele, and look at the space here opening up. It's through for Desiree Doué! And that is sensational! Right into the bottom corner. The third ever youngest scorer in a Champions League final. He's not got 1, he's got 2. And PSG have 3. And surely they're heading to European glory. Surely they're going to be our champions of Europe. Was it evident inside the first 20 minutes? Maybe it was. But you have to get over the line. You have to keep your calm. And you have to keep your cool. And Desiree Doué has absolutely embodied coolness tonight. 2 goals and an assist in a Champions League final. His first Champions League final. That is one way to burst yourself onto the scene. Rips the shirt from his body. The absolute drag back from Dembele is fabulous. The run on from Vitinha lays it on perfectly to Desiree Doué, who hits it with the instep of his right boot. It curls away from Jan Sommer, who has no chance, into the bottom corner. That is gorgeous from Desiree Doué. And PSG, who have been miles above their opponents all night tonight, there is no doubting that this is deserved. And this is an absolute thumping of Inter. 64 minutes gone in the 2025 Champions League final. Paris Saint-Germain 3, Inter Milan 0. And surely now, PSG can't throw this one away. What a performance from Desiree Doué amongst his teammates. I mean, this is sensational. I mean, we said how the third goal in this game was so important, and PSG have got it, and by God have they got it in a fantastic way. They've been toying with Inter for the vast majority of this game, and when Inter have a slight glimpse of maybe trying to find a way back in this second half, PSG go up the other ends and reassert dominance and control. And that man, Desiree Doué, just 19. As I said, the 3rd youngest player to score in a Champions League final. And he's got 2 goals and an assist. And a yellow card as well. As a yellow card for taking his shirt off and celebrating. Wow. Wow. Well, OJ says, can Doué make it a hat-trick? He probably could if he was staying on the field, but he is coming off Desiree Doué. He's going to be changed here. What a performance from him. Absolutely generational. The smile on his face, the hug he shares with his manager, and Bradley Barcola comes on in his place. PSG, if they were in dreamland at 2-0, they're well above that now at 3. And look at the celebrating from the PSG fans behind that bench of Paris Saint-Germain. Loving it and applauding Desiree Doué as he goes to take a well-earned rest and watches what his side can do for the next 25 minutes. And surely it's just 25 minutes of anticipation until they hear those well-baited words that we will leave for the magic moment. And I'm sure they feel, they believe, they know is going to be coming their way very soon. Absolutely dominant. Dominant. From minute one, PSG have been the better side, and there's just no doubt that they've had the quality. OJ says, do you think Barcola is going to score a goal? Well, at this moment in time, PSG could probably get more than what they have at the moment. Well, they want to get more, I would say they would, but they certainly can. Bradley Barcola, well capable. But the sheer adulation and joy on the faces of those PSG fans is equally matched by the desolation and somewhat grief on the Inter fans' faces at this moment. I mean, even the miracle of Istanbul is looking something quite impossible. I think the miracle in Munich, I don't think is going to be on the cards anywhere near it tonight. We will have to see the collapse of football history in a final, if that were to be the case tonight. As Marcus Thuram a little bit frustrated there at not getting the ball, and he puts in a late challenge on a PSG player, and he gets himself booked there. Marcus Thuram fouling Fabian Ruiz. There's Ruiz, who just overstepped the ball, and he got the ball away, and Thuram came sliding in and was far too late. Now they're on the brick again. Here's Barcola off the right hand side. He wants to set up another. Tried to flick it there. Didn't was that Dembele? It's cleared away. It's whipped back in. It's back post. It's Barcola, who's absolutely rocketed it, but he rocketed over the bar. They're having fun now, PSG. They're carving their way through this team like they're not there. Barcola had that effort. It was a hell of an effort, and it was well over the bar. Wow. And they're going to make another change here into, they've already made 4 changes tonight in this second half. They're going to make that 5th and final change. Then it's going to see Hakan Çalhanoğlu replaced by Christian Aslani. Already Darmian, Augusto, Zalewski and Bisek were all brought on. Bisek was then taken off for Darmian after he got injured after 8 minutes, did Jan Bisek. So they've already used up all 5 of their substitutes, have Inter. So this will be the team that's on the field now that will carry them to the final whistle. And a team that I'm sure will be devoid of confidence. And look at PSG, they're roaming it around like it's nobody's business. The last pass there from Kvaratskhelia, just too much for Fabian Ruiz, and that one's overhit. So there's going to be a couple of yellow cards coming out here. Francisco Acerbi gets a yellow card. The experienced man. Probably his last chance to win a Champions League. Francisco Acerbi. Fine old age of 37. Still at the top level. He got himself a yellow card for a foul. Do you think Inter's going to score? I'm not too sure. I don't think so. From what they've displayed tonight, they probably won't even get a shot on target. I think they haven't had a shot on target still. They haven't. So at this rate, PSG are locking it up, and Inter haven't looked like scoring all night, really. They've had a few close calls, they've had a few close moments, but mostly from crosses, and PSG have been able to deal with the vast majority of them. Just haven't had that cutting-edge threat tonight, Inter, and we kind of praised that front two combination of Marcus Thuram and Lautaro Martinez before the game. They've been missing tonight. There's been no real good hold-up play. They've not been able to feed it to the wide areas on a consistent basis with Dumfries or even DeMarco down the other side, or the midfielders haven't really got a grip of the game, and they're on the brick here again, PSG. Kvaratskhelia is through, wants to add a fourth, and does so, bursting in behind, and Kvaratskhelia finds a fourth for Paris Saint-Germain. They're going to be the champions of Europe, and they're going to do it in such an emphatic way. We've not seen a team win a Champions League final so one-sided in many a year, but PSG are going to pull off a final performance of the decade. They have been sensational, and their forwards are stepping up and delivering. Inter look gassed. They look like they've got nothing more to give. And again, it's just perfectly timed by Kvaratskhelia, breaking him behind as he onside. He might look like he is. The flag stayed down. And the finish is fabulous. Running through one-on-one with Sommer, gets him into a tight space. Makes him think you're going to go across goal. He goes near post, Kvaratskhelia, and adds a fourth. Fabulous. Wow. Oh my goodness me. We talked about the experience of Inter. Well, that experience is going to be called old. Are they too old? Are they not able to do it anymore? That might be harsh, but look at what we've seen tonight. The lack of energy, the lack of intensity, the lack of threat, the lack of control. Everything combined, PSG have absolutely dominated, and Inter have been nowhere to be seen from the very first minute, and it looks like that's going to be the way it's going to be till the very last minute. And there's still a quarter of an hour still to go with this Champions League final. I said if PSG wanted to, they could add more goals. Well, they are. And they've added four. 4 goals in a Champions League final. This is a team 5 years ago, a very different overall output in the way they play football, their midfield, the attackers they have on display. There is a lot of difference from this team 5 years ago. As Inter might want to try and get a consolation, they're still going here. Barella not giving up a chance. The shot well saved by Donnarumma. And Kvaratskhelia now trying to burst away. Well held up, and Inter starting to show a little bit more of a fight, but surely too little too late, really. I mean, their first shot on target of the night, decent effort, but it's not going to massively test Donnarumma. It was Marcus Thuram with the effort, but if it takes you to the 75th minute to have a shot on target, you've done something majorly wrong, and that's what is happening. Ruber says PSG score the majority of the dangerous attacks. That's it. They're threatening. They're clinical when they get forward. And Inter have just been too lethargic when getting forward. Said they haven't had enough that energy in their attacks. They haven't been blistering. And they will get a corner though, as that long shot from distance into deflection. Look, the tears already streaming from some of those Inter fans at this ends. 4-0 down. They're playing for pride now, surely. Right-footed delivery from the corner. Cleared away at the front post. Still bouncing around the box. Up in the air it goes. God knows who it came off, but Donnarumma tried to scramble it away, and I think it came off a PSG player last. It will be another Inter corner. The PSG fans bouncing. They were doing the Poznan a couple of minutes ago. A night they will never forget. Whip ball in from the corner. Caught into the hands of Donnarumma from the corner. Well, PSG having a strange record against Italian sides. Only won 6 of their 25 previous games against Italian opposition in the UEFA competitions. But they have won 24 of their last 48 European matches, including 9 of the last 11 games, losing the other 2 in their last 11. They haven't been involved in a goalless draw in in the Champions League since a 0-0 draw in Real Madrid back in 2016. That was 98 games ago. We'll extend that to 99. It's not 0-0 tonight. And PSG have actually only won 5 games in Germany. They've lost 9 of the last 17 in Bavaria. But tonight that's not going to be the case. Looks like they're going to claim a famous 6th win on German turf and a famous first Champions League title. As a change incoming, Luca Hernandez is coming on to replace Nuno Mendes. Straight swap at full back there. And every player to a man tonight in PSG colours have performed to a level of extreme ability, to the highest of heights, and to all of their best. Desiree Doué will get the headlines, but every single PSG player has worked tirelessly tonight to sustain dominance, control and full advantage of this Champions League final. They let it go once before. They were never going to let it go again. And when they got 2-0 up, you could feel that. Marquinhos displayed to his players as the captain to keep their heads, to stay calm, to stay focused, to stay locked in. And PSG have done that quite immensely. They have absolutely destroyed Inter Milan tonight. A team that had 8 clean sheets out of 9 to start the campaign in the Champions League, but none in the last 5 coming into tonight. Conceded 3 goals in the last 2 games, in both of the last 2 games in this competition. Well, they've beaten that tonight in conceding 4, and that might be more because Kvaratskhelia is through again. Well challenged by Nicolo Barella. They're tracking back and helping out defensively, and he might have hurt himself in the process there, the Italian. Sommer drifting it out wide to the left side, but again not able to keep hold of the ball. So Martinez intercepted. Just over 10 minutes to go. PSG 4, Inter 0 in this Champions League final. Loose from Dembele there. The shot from distance is straight down the throat of Gigi Donnarumma there. Donnarumma certainly doesn't want to give away a clean sheet that he might be taking, hoping to take. But Inter in 2023, with a team that were beaten against the side that won their first Champions League in Manchester City. Inter in 2025 are going to see a bit of deja vu because they're going to lose to a team that's going to win their first Champions League, and PSG made out a 5th here. Here's Bradley Barcola, lovely little bit of work, and he's hit it wide. He's done all the hard work and all he had to do was hit it at the goal, and he's hit it wide. Lovely bit of footwork from Bradley Barcola, And he tried to sneak it in the near post past Jan Sommer, but he dragged it too far wide. And it goes out for a goal kick. All but the finish was there for Bradley Barcola. And that would have been 5. But it still remains at 4. Not that that's any consolation for Inter Milan. Now Robin says it's not good for Inter. It certainly isn't. It certainly is not. They were beaten in that Champions League final back in 2023. But they were beaten by the nearest of margins. They had some great chances and lost by just a goal to nil. But tonight, it's been an absolute pasting. They've been laid on the canvas for all to see and completely delivered knockout blow after knockout blow from PSG. And they have just been relentless tonight, the Parisians. I said it will be a party in Paris if PSG are victorious. I'm sure the party's already started in Paris. They just wait for that magic moment to come, which isn't too far away now. 8 minutes plus additional time is what remains of the 2025 Champions League final. PSG lead by 4 goals to nil. And they're toying about, they're playing about with the ball now, they're just passing it around. They're waiting to make changes here, PSG. They have 3 players ready and waiting to enter the fray. And that'll be their 3 remaining changes because they've already made 2 others. That's a lovely time run. Here's another chance. It's Dembele with a chance this time. And that's well wide again. Again, nicely worked, nicely timed run, but not finding its target. So, Gonzalo Ramos, Warren Zaire-Emery, and Seni Mayulu are all going to be coming on here for PSG. Kvica Kvaratskhelia, who seemingly put the icing on top of the cake tonight with a 4th goal. He's coming off to be replaced by Gonzalo Ramos. That's a change. Also coming off is João Neves and Fabian Ruiz for PSG. So Kvaratskhelia, Ruiz and Neves all off, and they've been replaced by Mayulu, Zaire-Emery and Ramos for Paris Saint-Germain. They get ready for it. They are getting themselves ready. Well, they, before tonight, had scored the 2nd most goals in the competition this season, PSG. 33 goals they've scored coming into tonight. Only Barcelona had scored more. Well, they've added 4 to their tally in one evening, and on the biggest of evenings. They were joint highest for most big chances created. They've certainly taken that. They had 63 big chances created in their previous games. Tonight, they're looking for the ultimate glory. They've done the job. They just need to wait on the clock, helping them a little bit and getting to that final whistle that will, I'm sure, be met with rapturous cheers from one end of the Allianz Arena. And spinning behind there did Lautaro Martinez, but nicely dealt with by Willian Pacho once again, and the ball eased back to Gianluigi Donnarumma. I mean, 22 shots, 7 big chances, 3.11 XG in a Champions League final. I can't kind of stress enough how difficult that is. And here they break away again, PSG. Zaire-Emery now finding Bradley Barcola, cuts it back inside to Mayulu, Through to Barkolo again. Mayulu again. And he rifles it in. He finds the back of the net and the substitute makes it 5. PSG 5, Inter 0. And I think they might have just broken a record. They had the 3rd youngest scorer in a Champions League final. Through Desiree Doué in the first. But I think Seni Mayulu is going to break that record. Just turned 19 2 weeks ago. And he's added a 5th to PSG's tally tonight. All the substitutes celebrating with him. And PSG have 5. It was gorgeous between Barcola and Mayulu in the build-up. And he hits it off the inside of the left post, finding a way easily in the end past Jan Sommer. And they have been on the end of one hell of a pasting tonight, have Inter Milan, at the hands of Luis Enrique's PSG. And he's celebrated 5 times tonight as Luis Enrique. And each time it means so much to him. Listen to this. Paris Saint-Germain 5. Inter Milan 0. Wow. Wow. And the PSG president loving it, celebrating in the director's box alongside the UEFA president, Alexander Cheferin. Just wow. Apologies for the little interruption there. I don't know what's happened from that, but what a moment. Absolutely wonderful for PSG. And they're on the move again. Oh, that's just been pulled back. Thought they were in again. Jesus God almighty. The Champions League final. And they have done this. Wow. Seni Mayulu with the 5th. 19 and 14 days. 19 years and 14 days old. I think he has just broken the record. I'm not 100% sure, but I think he has. I will check it. They're already shedding tears of joy. The final whistle's not gone yet, but there's no doubting they're going to win it. They're celebrating already. Wow. Just sensational. I said it, Desiree Doué became the 3rd youngest scorer in a Champions League final behind Patrick Kluivert and Carlos Alberto. And they want to add a 6th here. PSG there pummeling their way through them. And Inter's defence, I don't know who said it, but someone said it. They were the best defence in the competition. I wouldn't want to put my name to that anymore. Goodness me. Goodness me. A little loose one there. Yeah, Kimi off the ball. Committing the foul. And there's the full-time whistle. No added time. It's caught us off guard. It didn't catch PSG off guard tonight. They're the champions of Europe. Fabulous. Munich is the venue of destiny. Paris Saint-Germain have done it. They have at last conquered the mountain. And they reign supreme. The 2025 champions of Europe are Paris Saint-Germain. In only their 2nd final, they have completely dashed what happened in 2020 and have absolutely thrashed Inter Milan tonight. 5-0. An absolute immense final performance from PSG. Absolutely unstoppable tonight. No team in Europe could have stopped them. And they were destined to win. They were by far the better side. The scoreline shows it. But their performance tonight has well deserved this. They've been waiting 55 years since their founding back in 1970. One of the youngest sides in Europe in terms of club history. And they have conquered Europe. They failed to do it in the year of their 50th anniversary back in 2020. But 5 years later, Luis Enrique and his Parisian side have been quite remarkable. Not only in this final, but all the way throughout the competition. They've had their tough moments, they've had their setbacks, they've had moments where you thought they couldn't even get anywhere near this level. But tonight, they have done it beyond belief, beyond what anybody thought was possible. They have absolutely thumped Inter Milan 5-0 in a Champions League final. Hakimi, Doué, Kvaratskhelia and Mayulu. 4 players, 5 goals that will go down in not only PSG history, but European history. The winners of one of the best finals, one of the most one-sided finals in recent history. They were the favourites coming into it, but many did believe Inter could do it. It was seemingly been the year of the underdog. But in the end, PSG probably counted themselves as underdogs because they'd never done it before. But as Inter did in 23, they lost to a team that claimed their first title. They've done exactly the same 2 years later. They got all the way up the mountain and they just can't put the flag on it. PSG will have their chance to celebrate, to have joy. They've had their fair share of tough moments over the years in this competition. But tonight is a night of joy. Paris will be pumping. One side of the Allianz Arena is pumping. Luis Enrique, like every goal he celebrated, is putting his all into this. You couldn't be more happier for a better coach in football. He said before this final, he's doing it for his daughter. He won the final in 2015, and his daughter put a flag, planted it on the pitch to celebrate. 4 years later, she tragically died, and Luis Enrique vowed that he would be here again, and he would do it for her. Well, he has done it, and his team have by far done it. And he will plant that flag in memory of her. You couldn't have asked for a better story. Luis Enrique, congratulations to him and all of his players. Because what a performance in the Champions League final. The biggest stage on the European scene. And they conquered it like it was nothing. Inter, desolate. Pain they will feel so hard, so much, and will feel so tough. But these create moments. The negatives, the down moments, make the moments of success and achievement so much more bright. Inter again have come to the top of the mountain, as I said, and have failed to get over the line. But PSG have done it. And only their second ever Champions League final in their history. And they claim their first ever title. They were arguably the best team in Europe before being crowned champions this year. They had that fight with Barca, I'm sure, but there is no disputing it now. After tonight's performance, there is no question. And they will get that trophy, and they will display it with pride when that comes their way. PSG are the champions of Europe for the very first time in their history. Just sensational. What a season it has been. What a season. And congratulations to Luis Enrique, all of his players. They've deserved it so much, and just incredible what they've been able to deliver this season. I said when they came back against Manchester City, that could be a turning point. It was the turning point. They'd never looked back after coming from 2-0 down to win 4-2 that night in the league phase. They got to the knockout playoffs. They made easy work of Brest. They claimed a penalty, famous penalty win over Liverpool at Anfield in the round of 16. They squeaked through in the quarterfinals past Aston Villa. Arsenal in the semis. A rigid defensive display from Arsenal, but they couldn't keep PSG out. And the final was the final hurdle they had to overcome against an Inter side who wanted revenge for 2023. But PSG's revenge from 2020 was so much more, and they showed it tonight. Incredible. Incredible. Luis Enrique becomes only the 7th manager in history to win the Champions League with 2 different clubs. A fine list of names that he adds his to. And my God, he is celebrating it. Congratulations to PSG. Just an incredible moment for them. And when you watch a team that have been through the hardship, that have been through the pain, that have been here before and not got over the line, to have the chance to go again and to do it and get over the line is just so much sweeter. And congratulations to PSG. We will analyse this game. We will get ready for the trophy lift very shortly. Do stay with us. We're going to take a little break. We're going to show you some ads. We'll be back in just a moment. Do stay with us as we analyse the 2025 Champions League final as PSG are the champions of Europe. Welcome back to the 2025 Champions League final live this evening, and look at that scene. PSG are the winners of this year's Champions League. They're the champions of Europe for their very first time in their history, and they couldn't be happier. They couldn't have been more convincing on the night. 5-0 winners against Inter Milan, and from the very first minute of the game, as the players celebrating on the field, we will have the trophy lift in a moment or two very soon for you. Of course, the runners-up get their medals as well before that, as is tradition. But from the very first moment tonight, PSG had the intensity, they had the press, and in the first 20 minutes of this game, they were all over Inter. Inter weren't able to get out, they weren't able to stop them. They were pummeling them. Achraf Hakimi with a tap-in, set up by Desiree Doué for the first. Doué on the counter-attack for the second, and getting a slight deflection to help him, but it looked like it was on target anyway. Doué getting his goal and adding to his assist to make it 2. Second half came about, and they added a third, did PSG, through Desiree Doué again. Found at the back post again, and beautifully slotting in to the far right corner to make it 3. It was 4 shortly after that when Kvaratskhelia broke in behind and Again, one-on-one with Jan Sommer and snuck it in the near post to make it 4. And then Sani Mayulu made it 5, the 19-year-old, with just minutes to go. The result was certain at that point, but just how many PSG were going to get was still the question to be answered. And my goodness, they did answer. Unbelievable. And I got to remind you that we did talk about when Seni Mayulu did score. We thought, did he break the record? He didn't. The youngest scorer in a Champions League or European Cup final was Patrick Kluivert back in 1995 when he was 18 years, 327 days old. Mayulu is 19 years and 15 days old, so it's not quite. But he wasn't too far off it. He's certainly up there with one of the youngest scorers, along with his teammate Desiree Doué. So that just shows what PSG have. 3 of their 5 goals tonight were scored by 2 of the youngest players ever to score in a final. So they have a bright future, and it shows that experience not only in the quality but the youth of this PSG side to get over the line, as the officials being applauded. Another tradition, of course. Referee Istvan Kovacs, the assistants Ferenc Toyogi and Mihai Marica from Romania. The 4th official, João Pinheiro. A VAR tonight, Dennis Hiegler as well. But all the officials up there to be appreciated by the UEFA officials and getting their medals. No real concerns or any worries about the officials, who were solid as a rock tonight. They did their job, and they did it very well. That's all you can ask from an officiating team. And of course, there's tradition. The UEFA president, Alexander Ceferin, is the one to hand out the medals, as he will do with all the players. The Inter players receiving their runners-up medals, and the PSG players receiving their winners' medals very shortly. As the referees, the officiators, get their moment on the stage, as now in come the runners-up. Inter Milan, led by Lautaro Martinez, and that guard of honour from the PSG players, which is tradition, but so nice to see, and a hard moment for those Inter players who've been so close in recent years. They just haven't been able to get over the line, and they are getting their runners-up medals from the UEFA president. Amongst them, a lot of them this season have been quality players. You know, they do have some really good quality players, Inter, no doubt about that. Some world-class players amongst them, but tonight they couldn't find it. They couldn't step up. They couldn't get over the line. And PSG, quite simply, were just too good for them tonight. The fans, as tough as it will be for them to take, but they will still applaud their players and their efforts tonight. And a tough one for them. Of course, don't forget, PSG have got the treble. That's the treble complete. The league was wrapped up with weeks to go. They won the Coupe de France last Saturday, and they've added the European Cup, the Champions League, to their tally of trophies this season. The treble winners, Paris Saint-Germain, as the runners-up medals all given out. It's silver turns to gold. It was silver for PSG 5 years ago. It will be gold this time around. And their manager is the first to go, Luis Enrique. What a special moment for him. What a moment. And he shares a quite emotional hug with the PSG president. And what a moment for him. He gets done with that medal once again. 10 years ago, it was Barca. But this year, it's PSG for Luis Enrique. And they all get their gold medals. And they all equally deserve it. After they beat Liverpool in the round of 16, I call them, they could be the dark horses of this competition. Well, the dark horses have come into the light and are going to have their moment in the light. And it will shine brightly across the city of Paris and across the country of France. For only the second time in French football history, a team from their country wins the Champions League. It was Marseille back in 1996, but it is PSG in 2025. As the final few, Desiree Doué gets his medal, Vika Kvaratskhelia as well, a couple of the goalkeepers as well getting their medals. And that moment donned in blue and red ribbons either side. Hugs from the players in PSG colours for that trophy. Luis Enrique smiles on. I don't think that smile will be going anywhere anytime soon. And Marquinhos, the 31-year-old Brazilian, gets his moment as well. The captain who's led them through all the pain in Europe over the years. But that pain comes to an end tonight for him. And he gets the chance. He has the honours of lifting this glorious trophy. His name will be in history. The UEFA president hands it off. He hugs and kisses it. And is already emotional, Marquinhos. This will be emotional galore for PSG. They get ready. As he comes over and lifts it. PSG are the champions of Europe for the very first time. That trophy will be heading back to Paris for the first time. 55 years in the making. And PSG have conquered Europe for the first time in only their second final. 2025 is the year of PSG and Paris. PSG, the champions of Europe. And the celebrations will go long into the night. No doubt about that. And of course, with winning a European trophy, of course winning the Conference League or the Europa League or the Champions League, you get yourself a place in, of course, the Super Cup, which takes place in August. So we already have that. PSG against Tottenham Hotspur will be the Super Cup in August. The two winners of the Champions League and the Europa League, and we'll of course have that here on LFS. But congratulations once again to PSG. It's great to see. What a moment. What a season it's been for winners, for either first time winners or winners for a very long time. Domestically, in Europe, it has been a season to never forget. And PSG cap it off their first ever Champions League. It couldn't be more fitting, could it, to end this season on this note. And every single one of them deserve it for the hard work they've put into this season. They'll never forget this night. May the 31st, 2025 will go down in PSG history as probably the greatest night in the club's history. As We Are the Champions will be gladly sung by those PSG fans. Thank you very much for joining us for this one tonight. PSG are your new champions of Europe. And we will, of course, be seeing more of football in the next coming days, because the domestic season is done. It's done and dusted, but we still have more football to come. As the PSG president's being given a lift there. I mean, what a celebration for him. Fabulous. Right, what a night for PSG. Don't forget, though, our LFS React show premieres tomorrow. Our first episode is tomorrow, 1 o'clock on the LFS YouTube channel. So do tune in for that tomorrow at 1. As I said, more football coming your way across the week as one season comes to an end, but another campaign coming to an end in the Nations League. Another European trophy to be handed out, this time to an international side, as we get the semi-finals and final underway for that this midweek. We have the semi-finals for you, Germany, Portugal and Spain against France. That's Wednesday and Thursday, and the final of the Nations League will take place on Sunday. Next Sunday, of course. And then we'll have the Club World Cup starting on June the 15th. For now, thanks for your company tonight. PSG are the champions of Europe for the very first time. Good night.